the battle to fund border security. President Trump doubling down on his call for a wall as another caravan heads toward the United States. The president says he's skeptical that lawmakers will reach a deal to fund it. On Sunday Morning Futures, I spoke with Democratic Congressman Ben McAdams and Majority Whip Steve Scalise about that funding. Will you vote yes for wall creation and more wall extension of what we're seeing in this picture?
I want to vote to have border protection, to have border security, to reduce the flow of drugs and even illegal immigration.
But you've said part of that may include a barrier.
Sure, I wouldn't rule out barriers in places where it's appropriate. I think that's acceptable.
Now the government's reopened. We have to have a real specific conversation about how much money they will support. President said, and it's not the president, it's our experts who protect the border who say it's going to cost $5.7 billion for all the technology, including wall. What are the Democrats willing to support? They're going to have to put a real number to paper now in these next 3 weeks.
Joining me right now is former acting director of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and a Fox News contributor, Tom Homan. Tom, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for weighing in. So the president gave an interview to the Wall Street Journal. It is in the all the way right, the most important column this morning. Federal workers return. The president says he's doubting that lawmakers will find a resolution. Do you think we'll see funding in this next 3 weeks?
No, I don't think they won't come to an agreement. I think Democrats have made it clear that they don't support border security, which is unfortunate because every place they built a barrier on the southern border, it's been effective. You know, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, none of them have met with Border Patrol. President Trump meets with Border Patrol all the time. As your guest just said, President Trump listens to the frontline operators, the experts, and he's trying to, help them. The Democrats are doing everything they can to resist.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's amazing to me because we know that Nancy Pelosi actually has a wall in her own state. Right? The wall that separates Tijuana from San Diego. And yet she doesn't call that one immoral. Who is this hurting? I mean, Mark Penn was with me yesterday, and he said this is not hurting President Trump. But we got a new Wall Street Journal, NBC News poll finding that President Trump's approval rating remains unchanged from the December survey taken 10 days before the start of the shutdown. This compares to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's disapproval rating, which has actually gone up by 6%. So do you think this is actually hurting Nancy Pelosi and not even hurting the president?
Well, I hope it's hurting Nancy Pelosi. The losers in all this, the people that really lost, is the American people. When Nancy Pelosi hates this president more than she takes her responsibility to protect this country and give the Border Patrol agents what they need, it's just terrible. She needs to put her country ahead of her hatred for Trump. But the problem is, I was asked last week when they decided, when the president opened the government, did he lose? Look, he didn't lose. The American people lost. The president has already done more than any of the 6 presidents I've worked for to try to secure that border, and he's going to keep fighting. This game isn't over yet. She had won the one series of downs, but this game's far from over, and my money's on President Trump.
Hey, Tom, Lindsay Bell here. I'm just wondering, what is Trump's positioning going into this negotiation with this new 17-member bipartisan panel? Has it been weakened at all, even though it seems like his base is still supporting him very much so? What do you think this negotiation is going to look like with this group? Is he going to get $5.7 billion? Will it be less than that? What is it going to look like? Is it going to be structural? Is it going to be technology? Is it going to be more border controls?
He doesn't think it's going to be anything, right, Tom? This is what you just said.
No, and that's the problem. Everybody keeps talking about technology rather than the structure. Let's use San Diego as an example. When that caravan rushed the border in San Diego, 2 things stopped them: the barrier and the men and women in green. You could have all the technology and drones you wanted, but that doesn't stop them. That doesn't apprehend them. Now, the wall needs to come with technology to show if there's incursions or they start drilling. There's anti-dig technology. It needs to come with technology, but a barrier makes sense. And if it flows people to one area, pushes them to one area where there's not a wall, where Border Patrol can have assets there to apprehend them. This does not work without a barrier. They keep talking about technology. Use San Diego as an example. San Diego worked because of that barrier.
Yeah. Well, Tom, let me ask you this, because most of the guests that we've been speaking to are saying that President Trump is probably going to lean towards declaring a national emergency to build that wall. You agree with that?
Yeah, look, I absolutely do. This is not just border security. This is national security, which people aren't talking about. The cartels run the northern border of Mexico. And when they push a huge family group in one sector, they're moving bad people and narcotics to another sector because the border assets are tied up. This is not just a border security issue. This is a national security issue.
Yeah, but doesn't it get held up in the courts if he calls for a national emergency, Mitch? I mean, isn't that the pushback for him saying it's a national emergency right now? It's going to get held up in the courts, then he doesn't get the money at the end of the day anyway.
I think that's the first thing. It's going to get challenged, and it's going to be tied up for probably the duration of his presidency, if you think about it. Tom, real quick, the bargaining chip, though, that the administration has, which is important to the Democrats, is the so-called Dreamers and making DACA law as opposed to something that gets authorized by the president's pen. Is that something that's enough for the Democrats that they'd maybe budge a little bit on funding the wall?
First of all, I don't think we should have DACA on the table. When you reward illegal behavior, more illegal behavior will happen. Because what you do, let's say they make this 800,000 DACA people, resident aliens, or a pathway to citizenship. How about the 160,000 family units that come across the border the last year and a half? Are they the next DACA population? So I have no problem with fixing DACA, but you got to fix the underlying reason, close the loopholes that caused this, or you got another DACA coming in 10 years.
Were you surprised that the president told the Journal he's bearish on the wall deal?
Look, I think the president, being realistic, as one of you guys just said, everything he does, he gets sued for. I mean, the left is clearly showing they want open borders. They're not going to be happy until the Border Patrol stations are closed and they got welcoming centers. They hand everybody a voter registration card. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They don't want border security, and they're going to fight him every step of the way.
Well, you know, I don't want to underestimate, though, what's going on in the Democratic Party. There's a movement saying, stop the fighting. We want to get something done. We're willing to agree to border funding. That's what Ben McAdams told me yesterday. Others as well. There's a lot of new moderates in this new Congress. So we'll see. I mean, maybe Nancy Pelosi is going to feel the heat or the pressure from her own colleagues.
Talking the talk's one thing. Walking the walk's something else.
You're right. That's
Actions.
right. We'll watch it. Tom, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Thanks so much for weighing in. Tom Homan there.